Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Max International for commercializing ribosine after many, many long years so that it is now finally available to the general public. And today, of course, we're celebrating the introduction of ribosine, our product, to Colombia, which is the third largest economy in South America. This is a milestone. And secondly, I'd like to thank Max International for allowing me to be on this stage to thank all of you, Max associates, for educating the general public about the importance of glutathione in maintaining your health. And for your perseverance in doing this. I thank you very much. Thomas Alva Edison was my boyhood hero. I went to a movie called Young Tom Edison, starring Mickey Rooney. He was the boy star in those days. And one of the things that intrigued me profoundly was that young Tom Edison had a chemistry laboratory in his basement. And how I wanted a chemistry laboratory for myself, knowing that it was impossible because our family was so poor. I had 4 siblings, 2 above me and 2 below me. And lunch money was pretty hard to come by. And we had to bring homemade sandwiches in a brown bag to school. But once in a while, we did get lunch money. And rather than using that lunch money to buy lunch, I saved it. I saved it to go and see young Tom Edison again. And again. And again. About 5 times. As Scott, my Scott, mentioned, glutathione levels are severely depleted in chronic alcoholics. And this is when it all started. What we were trying to do was to develop something that will enhance glutathione levels in veterans who were chronically alcoholic, and they were returning from the Vietnam War. We had an avalanche of chronic drug addicts and chronic alcoholics that came after the Vietnam War, and the VA hospital was full of these. They were patients that had alcoholic liver disease as well as alcoholic cirrhosis. So it's a very important thing for us to try to develop something to protect these chronic alcoholic veterans patients that came home from Vietnam, to try to raise their glutathione in order to be able to protect them from progressing from what happens is that you have fatty liver as a result of alcohol. And if you continue to drink, you would have progressively alcoholic liver disease, and finally alcoholic liver cirrhosis, which is terminal unless you can have a liver transplant. For those of you who attended the Monday or Thursday morning symposium for health professionals on how ribosine was developed, will know that we had to have many twists and turns, trials and tribulations. And at one stage, we even have to do a 180-degree flip in our thinking process to understand what was going on experimentally. However, and this required a completely open mind. You take what the data says, what the experiment says, and keep an open mind and try to interpret what had happened. And so we continued to develop it on the basis of what the experiments are telling us. And bear in mind Thomas Edison's quote here, failure was not an option for us. It was not, we will not fail. So we persevered. We persevered and did those experiments that finally led to ribosine. And this was a eureka moment for me, very, very profound. It is very satisfying to know that ribosine, as a dietary supplement, can be taken by anyone, especially because you do not need a prescription for it. This means that everyone can take it. And what is most gratifying for me is that Max International, as a company policy, has a humanitarian and compassionate program to distribute Max products to the poor and disadvantaged people in the less than developed countries, and where these healthcare facilities and healthcare is minimal or non-existent. And this is where ribosine can do the most effect. And thank you all again.